Chastity is a difficult long-term matter. One must wait patiently for it to bear fruit, for the happiness of loving kindness which it must bring. But at the same time, chastity is the sure way to happiness. St. John Paul II. Theology 7. You've been told that Catholic chastity is a long list of don'ts designed to repress your sexuality. That single lie is the biggest obstacle to understanding one of the most liberating virtues a person can possess. Forget everything you think you know. The Church's teaching isn't predicated on prohibitions, but on a positive and profound vision of the human person. Today, we're going to dismantle that lie and re-engineer your understanding to discover what chastity truly is, a path to authentic freedom and love. To do that, we have to start at the absolute beginning. The Catechism grounds our entire understanding in one verse from Genesis. God created man in his own image. Male and female, he created them. This isn't just a quaint religious idea. It is the blueprint for our existence. It means that by creating humanity as male and female, God wrote into our very being the vocation, the capacity, and the responsibility for love and communion. Your sexuality, therefore, isn't some ancillary part of you. It affects every aspect of who you are, in the unity of your body and soul. This raises a critical question. If our bodies are this important, how do they speak this language of love? How does your physical self make your invisible love visible? The answer is a concept St. John Paul II called the nuptial meaning of the body. It's the body's unique capacity to express love through a complete and total gift of oneself. In the covenant of marriage, this physical union becomes a living icon of the generous, life-giving love of God Himself. This single idea is the key. Any moral evaluation of a sexual act, therefore, comes down to one question. Does this act align with or violate this built-in vocation of the person to be a sincere and total gift to another? This leads directly to the virtue that guards this gift, chastity. Far from being repression, chastity is the virtue that makes authentic love possible. The Catechism defines it as the successful integration of sexuality within the person. It's the force that makes you whole, that brings you back to the unity you were created for. Unchaste acts, by their very nature, disintegrate the person, creating a double life, where your actions are severed from your commitments. So chastity is about being whole. But that immediately begs the question, how do you achieve this wholeness? Is it just a matter of willpower? This integration is achieved through self-mastery, which the Catechism calls an apprenticeship in human freedom. The choice is stark. Either man governs his passions and finds peace, or he lets himself be dominated by them and becomes unhappy. But this self-control is not the end goal. It is ordered to the gift of self. Only by possessing yourself can you be truly free to make a sincere gift of yourself to another. All of this, however, can go down the drain if you don't understand one crucial detail. This virtue, while a personal task, is impossible without God. It is simultaneously a moral virtue we must cultivate, and a gift from God, a grace, a fruit of spiritual effort. Now, a common misunderstanding is that all of this only applies to the unmarried. This is false. The Church's teaching is that all baptized people are called to chastity, but its expression is modulated according to one's state of life. For those in married life, it's lived as conjugal chastity. This demands complete faithfulness to the spouse. But it goes deeper. It requires that every sexual act remain true to its twofold purpose: the good of the spouses, the unitive dimension, and the transmission of life, the procreative dimension. The marital act must always be an act of genuine love, respectful and open to life. But what happens when something attacks this exclusive life-giving gift? That leads us to the modern challenges. For all unmarried persons, single, engaged, widowed, or persons with homosexual inclinations, chastity is practiced through continence, meaning refraining from genital sexual acts. For the engaged, this is a vital apprenticeship in fidelity. For persons with homosexual inclinations, It is a path to holiness through self-mastery, prayer, and friendship. For those in consecrated life, priests and religious live this through a vow of celibacy, giving themselves with an undivided heart directly to God. Now we arrive at the wall. For many, this is where the teaching becomes difficult, where the church seems out of touch with its rules on sin. This is where most people check out. But what if I told you that every one of these hard teachings is built on that single principle we already established, the vocation of the person to be a sincere and total gift? Let me connect the dots for you. At the root of all sins against chastity is the capital sin of lust, which the Catechism defines as a disordered desire for or inordinate enjoyment of sexual pleasure. The disorder consists in seeking pleasure for itself, isolated from its unitive and procreative purposes. Jesus radicalized this, stating that the sin begins not with the act, but in the heart, with a lustful look. The ultimate consequence of lust is objectification. A person, created to be loved, is reduced to a thing for selfish gratification. My goal here is to make sure you never have to experience that violation, either as the one being used or the one who uses. This leads directly to pornography, which the Church defines as removing real or simulated sexual acts from the intimacy of the partners in order to display them deliberately to third parties. It is a grave offense because it perverts the conjugal act, making a private gift a public spectacle for consumption. It is a form of spiritual adultery. It injures the dignity of all involved, reducing persons to objects of base pleasure and illicit profit. This private vice then creates a public crisis. An individual's lust fuels a multi-billion-dollar industry linked to sex trafficking and exploitation, creating a pornographic culture that makes it harder for everyone to live chastely. This is why the Church's call for civil authorities to intervene is not merely about private morality, but a demand for public justice. The teaching on masturbation rests on the exact same logic. The Church's constant tradition holds that masturbation is an intrinsically and gravely disordered action. The theological reasoning is that it fundamentally contradicts the meaning of sexuality. First, it is radically non-unitive, a solitary, self-centered act that is the opposite of mutual self-giving. Second, by its very nature, it is sterile and closed to the gift of life. It trains a person in self-indulgence, not self-giving, which can harm their capacity for a healthy marriage. If you have followed the logic this far, congratulations. You're part of the small percentage who truly wants to understand this. And for that, I am going to share the pastoral secret for how the Church deals with personal failure in this arena. While the objective moral assessment of the act is clear, the Church's pastoral approach is one of profound compassion. For a sin to be mortal, 3 conditions must be met: grave matter, full knowledge, and deliberate consent. The Church explicitly recognizes that factors like affective immaturity, force of acquired habit, conditions of anxiety, or other psychological or social factors can lessen or even eliminate a person's moral culpability. This does not make the act good. It remains disordered. Rather, it acknowledges that a person's freedom may be compromised. This allows the Church to be both a clear teacher of truth and a compassionate field hospital, offering not condemnation, but a path to healing. So if we struggle, where do we turn? The pursuit of chastity is not a project of sheer willpower. It is fundamentally a work of grace, requiring our active cooperation with God's help. The Church outlines a clear program for this spiritual combat: self-knowledge, self-discipline, obedience to God's commandments, practicing the moral virtues, and above all, fidelity to prayer. The sacraments are your powerhouse. Frequent confession offers not only forgiveness, but the specific grace to strengthen your will. The Eucharist unites you with Christ Himself, the source of all purity. This must be paired with a conscious discipline of one's feelings and gaze, and modesty in dress and behavior, which protects the intimate center of the person. In the face of today's challenges, the Church acts as a field hospital. It offers support through authentic friendship and community, which are vital for growth. It provides a host of organized ministries to address specific struggles, like addiction or same-sex attraction. And its pastoral strategy is adapting to the digital age, with bishops directly addressing the pornography pandemic and its links to the loneliness epidemic and new threats like AI-generated deepfakes. Ultimately, the Catholic understanding of chastity is a demanding but liberating call to integrate our deepest passions with our highest calling, the vocation to love. It is not a denial of sexuality, but its proper ordering toward a sincere and total gift of self. In response to a culture that promotes a fragmented view of sex, the Church offers a robust strategy rooted in grace and mercy. For those who have fallen, she offers the path of secondary virginity, a virginity of heart that can be reclaimed through repentance. The final word is always that of Christ to the sinner. Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on do not sin any more.